Along with the health and humanitarian crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, businesses face huge challenges that includes the collapse of customer demand, significant regulatory changes, supply chain interruptions, unemployment, economic recession, and increased uncertainty. Just like the health and humanitarian side of the crisis, the business side needs strategies to recover. Ad hoc responses will not work. Organizations must lay the groundwork for recovery post-COVID-19. It is said that every crisis brings with it some unseen opportunities. Now, what have we learned from this crisis? What are the opportunities? How do we move forward as business? Hello and welcome to Fifth Row with Reggie. Please subscribe to the channel. We hope for the day everything gets back to normal and all the concern, fear, suffering and tragedy of COVID-19 pandemic gets behind us. That day will come, but the world will never be the same. To survive, businesses need to have survival plans and quickly adapt to the new reality. Businesses have to find new ways to operate, new ways to offer value, new ways to find, engage and sell to customers. Let's look at some financial, legal, and strategic aspects that businesses should consider going forward. 1. Cash flow and liquidity. The liquidity of your business serves as a fuel gauge during this period. A low fuel tank means you can only go for a short trip. Focus should be on cash flow conversion cycle, which is the time it takes a business to convert its inventory and other inputs into cash. Businesses will need to shift their focus from income statement to the cash flow statement. Cash flow and liquidity analysis can be used to identify choke points and opportunities for improvement of processes. Efforts should be focused on receivables collection and negotiating favorable terms with suppliers. Terms of existing contracts can be renegotiated, with the new credit facilities being sought to bridge financing gaps that may arise. Businesses need to employ activity-based costing, and where possible, fixed costs can be converted to variable cost. The reason being that fixed costs are incurred regardless of business volume, whilst variable costs are only incurred when revenue-producing business is generated. Businesses should also consider outsourcing some services. These strategies are so important, particularly in Zimbabwe, where we all know that our government doesn't have capacity to bail out companies. 2. Relationships with customers. There is need to keep relationships with existing clients alive with the knowledge that they are equally affected. Think about how the pandemic has affected your customers, what is keeping them up at night, and how you can help. Marketing strategies can be designed around how to address these specific challenges and worries. It is all about repositioning your product and services to be helpful and address the specific pain points that your customers are confronted with. The other strategy is to identify customers who give you good revenue as opposed to bad revenue. Good revenue is that which comes from loyal customers who love your products, your offering, and service. These customers produce the kind of revenue that is predictable and profitable, as opposed to bad revenue from customers who look for excessive discounts, who look for customization, and do not value your core business proposition. You need strategic promotions that are aimed at maintaining these high potential customers. 3. New sales channels. As people stay indoors and avoid going out to shop in brick and mortar stores, this is creating opportunities to serve the market via alternative sales channels. For example, restaurants in China saw a decrease in in-store customers and shifted their focus to takeaway meals instead. The changing approach in purchasing of goods is likely to establish new and lasting habits. We have seen the pandemic shifting how customers buy products and offerings by closing traditional sales channels. This creates opportunities to boost online marketing efforts and e-commerce sales. Many business-to-business companies across the world are already positioned for this, but more still needs to be done in Zimbabwe. 4. Relook at contracts. Businesses affected by COVID-19 are relooking at their contract terms to minimize their financial losses as the pandemic forces closures, cancellation, and reduced productivity in many industries. Some contracts often include force majeure provisions that excuse parties for unfulfilled obligations as a result of acts of God and other events beyond their control. Such clauses could prove to be a lifesaver for some companies during this current crisis. Lawyers must scrutinize the contracts carefully to determine what is covered and what is not. 5. Supply chain management. COVID-19 was a wake-up call for supply chain management as businesses suffered serious supply interruptions. We have learned not to rely on a single supplier overseas, but find alternative local sources as a cushion against unexpected disruptive events. Buying local options should be considered where this is possible in order to stabilize inventory levels and logistics. Recent experience exposed the risks associated with the concept of just-in-time manufacturing. With just-in-time manufacturing, raw materials are only received as they are needed for production process. This is meant to reduce inventory costs and requires manufacturers to forecast demand accurately. The major disadvantage being disruptions in supply chain, which we are currently experiencing. Manufacturers across the world had to shut down, disrupting the global supply chains. Going forward, businesses must begin to maintain certain levels of inventory to ensure that it is available no matter what. This calls for increased investment in inventory and forecasting so that companies can stock without getting stuck with unusable or unsellable inventory. 6. Diversification. In this environment, businesses should consider the merit of diversifying product offering in order to remain relevant. In recent years, diversification had been replaced by the concept of core competence with the notion that businesses should focus on things that they do well and outsource everything else. However, the current pandemic has revealed that focusing on core competence can be costly when a global disaster affects the industry and market upon which a company is exclusively focused. Going forward, businesses should be smart enough and focus on multiple market segments and industries so that revenue keeps coming regardless of what happens on a global scale. It is also worth noting that during this period, businesses have been classified as essential and non-essential. For businesses that have been classified as non-essential, now is the time to ask yourself, how can you become essential and consider existing capacity to meet new needs. 7. Digital transformation. The current crisis brought by COVID-19 pandemic is pushing us into a digital world and accelerated the uptake of digital solutions, tools, and services. We have seen businesses that were resistant to the concept of distributed workforce being forced to allow employees to work from home. As a result, we are all learning the etiquette of video conferencing and keeping in sync with other members of a distributed team. Businesses able to use technology well and rethink their business models will be the ones ahead of competition. Schools and universities alike have turned to virtual learning options with a growing number of online courses being offered. 8. Shared workspace. Working from home is becoming an alternative. Businesses will have to rethink their working arrangements in order to provide more flexibility to their employees. Over the years, open plan offices have been said to increase collaboration and innovation, and they had replaced the private offices. Now, open plan designs make social distancing impossible. Businesses that do not implement a work from home policy will be forced to re-implement private offices. 9. Human capital. While businesses are grappling with survival and customer retention issues, employees are having to deal with stress, job insecurity, emotion, and psychological trauma. In some sectors, employee layoffs will be unavoidable as some businesses are experiencing low to no revenue at all. One sector that is bleeding heavily because of the lockdown is the tourism sector, and it is very unlikely that this sector will recover soon. Yes, technology assists us in certain circumstances, but there will always be need for people and physical presence. It is proven that humans need social contact to grow, learn, engage, and stay well. Going forward, businesses have to implement strategies that ensure the safety and well-being of employees in the workplace. Please know that the more we understand how this pandemic is changing the future of business, the better we can adapt and not only survive but thrive post-COVID-19. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. You can like, share, or leave a comment below.